All right, so today we are testing out the soon-to-be released Reebok Nano Pros. These have been out in other parts of the world for quite some time, but in America, they are being launched on October 7th. I got them in a week early to get my review done, and this is going to be my first session in them. I already actually started warming up and everything. Today we're building up to a heavy squat clean, whatever that is for the day, and then we're gonna do some back squats. Hopefully I have time for that, and I'll probably cut this in at the end of my first impressions video, but as always I'm gonna kind of walk you through what I think about these shoes. So right away, they don't feel to me from memory like Nano 15s. They feel more like Nano 14s to me, as far as like the way that the platform feels and how low they are in comparison to the Nano 15s, which I thought felt like they were tall and they kind of felt like you were on a tightrope. These feel a little bit lower to the ground. They have a new super float midsole that it's got some give to it. It's not bad. To me, honestly, it still feels very much like a training shoe. It's not soft at all. These do have a graphite carbon plate in them, and I believe it's a full-length carbon plate. It's a little bit more resistant at the heel, but still has some kind of give to it. And then the forefoot is fairly flexible. I'd say a little bit more flexible than Tier Elite Carbons start off. Those break in pretty well, and I'm sure these are going to break in as well. The upper is a new kind of flex weave blend. There's flex weave in it. It's pretty flexible, pliable. Kind of looks like a xenomorph egg. Not so sure that's what they were going for, but then there's also like a TPU exoskeleton on the midfoot, which hopefully prevents or aids in foot containment. That was my biggest issue with the Nano 15, was my feet would just go sliding in that shoe all around. And it didn't matter if I had my normal size, which is size 10.5, which is slightly big, or size down, which is size 10, which was slightly small. In comparison, these feel much more, I guess, my size, true to size, if you want to say it like that. I think they fit somewhere in between the 10 and the 10.5 of Nano 15s. They are a little bit more narrow, not a lot, but a little bit. Similar, but not as narrow as Nano 14s, but a little bit more in that direction. There's not as much pressure in the midfoot as Nano 14s, but I'd say the overall shape is pretty similar. And the feel, it feels like Nano 14s as well, like the way that they feel against the ground. I wore my Nano 15s not that long ago, did a session in them. Reminded me how much I didn't really like those shoes, and these, from memory, that was only, I think, earlier on in the week. These don't really feel like Nano 15s, to be honest with you. They feel more like 13s and 14s, which I like both of those shoes, so I guess that's a good thing for me. So right now I'm gonna get cleaning, and hopefully I get to something decently heavy today, but I guess we'll see. So these, I think from memory, have a 3mm drop. I know it's a much lower drop than any Nano has been in a while. Nano 15 is a 7mm drop, and I think this is a thing with like carbon plated shoes where you maybe want a lower drop because it helps you actuate the carbon plate better. I'm not so sure. That's what I'm assuming, that it's kind of the same thing with like carbon plated runners. They're usually typically a lower drop in comparison to like a daily trainer counterpart. But another thing I'm noticing is that these have a decent toe spring angle, which I am not a huge fan of. It's the same kind of thing, or same kind of issue that I had with the Tier Elite Carbons. Pretty decent mid heel stability. That one kind of wanted to suck me back onto my heels, and the forefoot is a little bit floaty, which I'm not a huge fan of. I feel like I'm already gonna have to relace these They feel like they've loosened up quite a bit from when I first put them on. They've got this double barrel thing at the tongue to like hold the laces. That kind of makes it a little bit more difficult to lace the shoes up, but I guess it makes it also a more secure fit as well. That one during the catch, I felt myself kind of get forward. It was like a split second, like I felt like I was on, I guess, the little fulcrum of the toe and the rest of the shoe, which is like right here, right under the metatarsals. You can definitely feel they kind of want to rock you forward. So like I said, I'm not a huge fan of that. Still 185 again. That was a lot better. Grip seems pretty good on these. They've got like a non-tinted outsole, which is really cool looking. And then you can see the carbon plate from right under the shoe. It's a really cool looking design. Honestly, like, it's kind of polarizing in that it looks like, you know, an alien's egg, but a lot of shoes they all look alike nowadays. So I actually like that these look different, vastly different than any other training shoe. A lot of Reebok logos on it, tons of logos. A little short on that. Maybe we'll do this one again. That one wasn't super convincing. I went on a long run yesterday. Long for me. So my hips are probably pretty tight. The grip, I think, could be better. It's not the worst. You could feel it like wanting to stick, but if I shift my feet, it'll give up. What, like, I mean, I hate to sound like a broken record, but the toe spring is very noticeable. Like, if I just kind of push my toes down a little bit, my heel wants to lift. I had the same issue that I had with the Elite Carbons, which I was okay with at the end, but not my favorite. I think the goal today is probably like 255, something like that. I haven't been going super heavy on anything lately. Been cutting, so even 255 feels pretty decently heavy nowadays. But we'll see. Yeah, a little low on that one too. My hand's ripping, and that little crease is gonna get really annoying. There's not a lot you can do about it. I gotta be moisturizing my hands probably a little bit better, but it's what it is. A little low on that one. That one was weird when I got my lift off. Like that area, the metatarsal area, I felt like my feet wanted to like rotate outwards when I jumped, kind of like that. A little bit in part from the grip. Forefoot's, now that I'm really pushing down on that, forefoot feels pretty soft. I'm not so sure I'm getting anything out of the carbon plate here, but I think I need to put on some different shoes to really feel that out. So let's try that. So what I'm gonna go with is Nano 14s, because I swear these shoes to me, like, they feel very similar from memory. Okay, so Nano 14s are definitely more narrow. Mainly, I want to say mainly in the midfoot, not necessarily in the toe box, but a little bit. Yeah, these They feel pretty similar. I'm not gonna lie, man. They feel, aside from feeling a slightly higher lift at the heel, they like against the ground. They feel pretty similar. Okay, that one was low too. Got under it pretty quickly. Didn't feel any pitch forward, but I do notice a lean forward just in general because of the 7mm drop. So going between the two shoes, the drop to me is noticeable, but the underfoot feel kind of similar. You know, and since we're switching shoes, we might as well do the Nano 15s too. I think I'll go up for this one. Yeah, I think the way that the shoe feels against the ground, like the outsole ground contact feels more similar to the 14s than the normal 15s. The 15s kind of have like radius edges on the outsole, which is probably better for like moving around, body weight stuff, running. But when it comes down to like lifting, I think the like flatter, more sharper edges of the Nano Pro and the Nano 14, I think they're a little bit better. Okay, so that one, like obviously I got pitched forward on that one in the catch, but even from before the catch, like through the pull, I felt myself getting pulled forward, which is why at the end I caught it forward because I was all just losing it. And I just felt like in the forefoot of these, it was just so flexible, along with the 7mm drop, kind of wanted to pull me all forward. Probably have to redo this one in the Nano Pros. I want to see if it happens again. I think a little bit of that had to do with the fact that the upper of the normal 15s doesn't really support your foot very well, hold your foot in place. Like immediately after putting these on, I feel like a lot more confident, kind of like the Nano 14s too. That's far better. I had a really good jump on that one, so maybe the carbon plate is working. But I think the overall just fit and security of the 15 Pros is better. Yeah, that finger is now completely split, so YOLO. It's pretty good. Felt like that was pretty good. Pretty good speed under the bar. Didn't bury me, which I liked about that one. I think my timing was pretty decent on that. Got the bar pretty high, and overall that one felt pretty good. Hey, maybe that plate is working after all, because I mean the 15s I completely botched that lift. 14s, I thought I would lifted pretty decent in them. I actually really like the 14s a lot. I know they're not a lot of people's favorites, but I really like the 14s. I thought they were a very good shoe. They just overshadowed by other shoes. My hands are tore up. The worst. I'm not a huge belt person, but let's see if this helps out. I've been using a belt lately because this is whatever my back issue. It's not really getting any better. It's not really my back. It's more like, I want to say, my SI joints. That's pretty sure that's what I threw out, because it's definitely not in the middle of my back. It's definitely on the left side of my body. It's hard to feel like I get any kind of power out of that side. Like I said, haven't been going super heavy. We get 275, we're good. That was a good one. Good speed, good extension on that one. That was not good. What happened there is I failed to drop under the bar, I failed to change directions. Because I was just thinking about pulling super high, which I think I pulled pretty high. But obviously, when you continue to pull high like that, it leaves you less time to get down, which happened to me. So I cut super low elbows, like for basically bottomed out in my squat, and had to fight just to stand up. That was not a good clean. I don't want to blame it on the shoes, because I don't think it was the shoes. If anything, I was able to, pull really high, but I just didn't change directions for whatever reason. And I think we're gonna call it there. So overall, like, I think solid upgrade over the 15s. I think these are much better than the 15s already, which I didn't really think too highly of the 15s. Jury's still out about this toe spring angle. I'm not sold on it. But I'm not so sure that it's really that detrimental just yet. The grip, I think, could be a little bit better. The fit, to me, I think the fit is like probably the best part of this. Like, they're not so like sloppy feeling as the Nano 15s. They're not as narrow as Nano 14s. They're somewhere right in the middle. The midfoot feels like it's holding pretty well. The toe, for me, there's a good amount of like just volume in the toe box. I think the length is like perfect though. My toe is like right before the edge of the shoe, which I think is good. And I don't think the foam is too harsh. It's also not too soft. Whether or not that plate is actually working for me, I don't know. Well, that's to be determined. But today I'm going to chalk it up as a win. 255 is the heaviest that I've cleaned. The 255 clean was really good. The 265 was just ass. But 255 was good. I think if I was at the gym, I'd probably hit like 275 or 285 or something like that. But I just don't. It's not that like, I'm comfortable in my gym, but I know that there are some shortcomings. Like, platform's not super level. I'm pulling from a lower position than the actual middle of the platform. It's only about 1/4 of an inch, but still, it's something. But stay tuned for training vlogs, which are going to be back, because I know everybody wants to know about the Nano Pros. And I think that's it for today. Thanks for watching.